Hello and welcome! Today we'll be talking about how to set up the 4-paw base inside of Unity for VRChat. This is a very unique avatar that is half quadruped, half biped, can run on all fours and still stand up and walk around. There's a lot of interesting features, and really excited to finally get this one out there for you guys to mess with and toy with and make your own custom versions. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I want to direct your attention to is the VRChat official documentation. They already have a very good guide on how to set up the creator companion and get some of the basics working and going. So I'll just refer to their documentation, but basically what you want to do is follow their information here in order to get Unity set up, in order to get the creator companion installed, and some of the prerequisites ready. The basics of this is that you install their app, you run it, it installs a bunch of stuff for you. There's a few things that if they don't install automatically, you have to do manually, and they talk about that in their guide here and in their guide here. And both those guides and all these links are all included in my documentation below this video. So make sure you take a look there if you don't know where to find this. But when you're all said and done with that, you should have a program that looks kind of like this. It'll have probably nothing in here. That's okay. But the big thing is you have that create new project button in the top right. But let's hold off for just a second though to get some more prerequisites ready before we go ahead and make our project. So this is a set of scripts that allows us to automatically install and configure a lot of things within the avatar. It makes the experience for your end of things so much easier. All you have to do is just drag in the prefabs that you want, whether it be horns or if you want different fur or something like that. And then VRC Fury will follow the instructions that I've given it to install those for you and get them attached. So to install these, you're going to have to click on this button that says click here to add to the VRC Fury to the VRChat Creator Companion. And that will pop up something inside of Creator Companion that says, would you like to add this? Say yes. And it'll actually install those files into the Creator Companion itself. So now we're going to do that with a couple other prerequisites too. So next one up is the final IK stub. So the final IK stub, this is a stand-in script for a much more complex set of scripts. Normally those are a paid-for add-on. However, this is just a stand-in for that. It just lets you upload as if you had it, but doesn't actually let you use it. So for your point of view, just make sure you have this installed, otherwise your character won't be able to actually walk or use your arms and legs or anything like that. Once again, we're going to use the Add to VRChat Creator Companion. When you click on this, it'll give you a download link, and that'll pop up inside of Creator Companion. And you just click on the Add to Creator Companion button. All right, let's go look at Poyomi Toon. So a lot of the shaders that I use, I tend to stick to Poyomi Toon shaders. I just like how they look. It has nothing to do with performance or anything else. It's just it looks nice. You can certainly use whatever shader you want. You do not have to use this shader. But if you would like to have all the stuff in the project work on default, you know, when you open it up, it actually looks correct. You'll need to install this just to at least get the appearance right. Otherwise, you'll open it up and everything will be pink, which is the default color. So go ahead and grab the VPM for VCC. Click on this link and it'll do the exact same thing I just talked about with the other ones, where it'll pop up in Creator Companion and you click OK. All right, so at that point, now you have all the prerequisites installed into Creator Companion, but you don't even have a project yet. So let's go ahead and get you a project started. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize everything else here. And you're going to click on Create New Project. And you want to click on the Avatars 2022, not the 2019 version. Go ahead and give it a name. I'm going to call mine the 4-paw. And then it'll by default put it into some weird location. If you want to change that, just pick a new folder. And it'll put it somewhere different. So go ahead and click on Create a Project. Okay, so now it's actually made the project. So in the background, there's a bunch of files that it's created in a folder that you gave it. So the next step would be to actually install these things, but I think we're going to go ahead and do a kind of a safety measure step. I'm going to actually open the project first. So click on this Open Project button. And at this point, it will launch Unity. This takes a little bit of time. Okay, so eventually it will be done, and you'll be able to see the default scene. The way you'll know you're done is you can kind of move around the viewport here and kind of just see, you can kind of interface with it a little better. All right, so now let's go back to the Creator Companion, and let's install updates and prerequisites. So First thing I'd recommend is updating the SDK. For some reason, when you first install the SDK, it gives you an older version. You have to update it. I'm not sure why VRChat does that, but so we're going to update the SDK. So you click on the upgrade button, and it's going to give you a pop-up saying, you know, are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, I mean, it's an empty project. It'll be fine. So confirm. And the avatars SDK, same thing. Okay, so there's a few other things now. My list is very long, so hopefully this doesn't get too terribly confusing, but I'll go through the ones that we need to get. I highly recommend grabbing the gesture manager. This one comes pre-installed. Hit the plus sign next to it. And what that one does is it lets you actually emulate what is happening in VRChat in the editor. So if you need to troubleshoot something, you can just go into play mode and then test it. I also recommend grabbing Audio Link. This is similar. It comes pre-installed. This one will let you test and troubleshoot Audio Link, which is audio reactive shader effects. Okay. The order of these doesn't matter, so we'll just go ahead and do them in whatever order they pop up in here. So next is VRC Fury. This one should be in the list. This is one that you had to install separately, but should just have a plus button for the add package. And you may have to scroll up to see it spin. Okay. That one's good. Let's go ahead and grab Poyomi Tune Shaders, plus sign. Okay. And the last one should be the Final IK stub right here. Let's go ahead and click the plus sign next to that. Let me do a quick call out to the face tracking templates. So you can get these from AdCherry's face tracking. These are also linked in my description for the text instructions. So this is the face tracking setup. If you have face tracking, you're probably going to want to grab these. This lets you actually activate face tracking on your avatar. In here, they also have a link for Creator Companion. Exactly where that's at, but it's in here though. And then when you add it there, it'll add it to the Creator Companion. I'm gonna go ahead and add it to my project here, just to be consistent with how every feature that could be installed in the avatar. This is optional though, so you don't have to do this. Okay, so once all of those are installed and highlighted here, and they have a minus sign next to them, meaning that they have been installed, that's the button to remove them. Now you can click back on the actual project itself, and it will go through a lot of loading screens. So while this is going on, I just want to quickly talk about the files from my end of things. So when you get the files, you'll find that the base pack has pretty much just two files. They are the blend file and the Unity package. The Unity package contains almost everything in it. So that's the main thing that you need to focus on and use. In a few minutes here, we're going to be dragging that into the project and adding it and all that kind of stuff. But I want to talk about the other packs that are available. So we have an air pack, an aqua pack, a land pack, a crater pack. So each of those will also have a Unity package. The intended order of installation is to install the base pack first and then all the others after that. But the order shouldn't actually matter. I'll have to try and troubleshoot this a little bit, make sure, but it shouldn't matter what order you put them in. If you decide that you want to do textures yourself, or if you want to have another artist do textures for you, that's when the creator pack comes in. So there are substance files and Photoshop files in here, and an artist, whether yourself or someone else, can take those files and make proper textures for you. So that pack is totally isolated from everything else that's in the rest of the entire project. So it's only $10. So the artist that's doing the work for you can simply get that $10 pack and make something for you, and then you can easily add that to your avatar, and everything works just fine. If the artist that you are hiring needs to be able to actually see the mesh inside of Unity, that's where the mesh files come in. So these are FBX files that are like not rigged. They don't have any blend shapes or anything. They're just the appearance of it. And an artist can take these files into a copy of Unity, and they can set up what's called materials for you, which is just a file that defines how the texture should be applied. And when all of that is assembled, they can then export that as a separate package and give that to you. And then when you import it, all you have to do is just drag them onto your avatar and you're done. I'll show that in a little bit once I actually get the files into Unity and everything's up and running. But I just wanted to kind of explain what that was all about and why that's separated. It saves the other artists some money because they don't need to also buy the entire full pack. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and wait for this loading screen. This will take a while. Okay, so when all that's finally installed, you'll be able to move around the interface like we talked about before and click on things and do stuff like that. So let's go ahead and open up the Unity package files. Let's go ahead and take a look at those. Specifically, let's look at the base pack files. So this will be the one that's named 4paw with a number at the end. This is the main package. Let's go ahead and just drag that over into the project window under assets. So you can kind of put it anywhere in here or here. It'll figure itself out once you actually drag it in. Okay, so once you've dragged that in and everything finishes calculating, it's going to give you a long list of things that it's going to import. This is all of the files that are related to the avatar itself. So let's go ahead and click on import here. If you want to be absolutely sure that everything's selected, you might want to click all and then import. Okay, so when that's all said and done, this is the point where you would now install the other Unity packages from me. So if you have like the air pack or whatever, you would drag those in now too. For the sake of this demo, I'm not going to drag those in because I'm assuming that you only have the base pack. So now let's go ahead and navigate to the starter files. So they're under Assets, 4paw, 1 base pack. Start here, Scenes. And this is the default scene that's in there. It'll be named 4paw with a date at the end. So you should be able to just double click on that and it'll open up the base scene. So in the base scene, there's only a couple of characters. Some of the other ones are missing because you need to have the other packs for them. But we can take a look at the ones that are here. So first off, if you would like to, you can take a look at the Quest and the Drake version. These runs are already pre-colored. You could literally at this point go ahead and upload them. They're ready to go. I just want to talk about these red ones with the missing prefabs. So if you do not have any of the other packs, the items that are related to those packs will show up as red. You can ignore these. You can delete them if you want. The files will still have them in the background, so you don't have to worry about like trying to recover, never be able to recover them or anything like that. They're still here. But it doesn't hurt to have them up in the scene. Doesn't really make a difference either way. Just show some red text. So now inside of some of these, especially inside the base pack base, you'll also see some of these where they're blue text with missing prefab. So what ended up happening was there's a few items that had to be attached to the base avatar, and there was really no other way around it. So these ones will show up as this prefab missing. Specifically, you'll see it with the ear webbing, the bird wings, the neck collider, and the wing controls. And a few things inside these, just like placeholders that'll be shown in here. These ones, I mean, these are just empty objects, so they have no impact on the upload process or anything. They also have no impact on performance or anything like that. You can delete them if you want, or you can keep them in here. If you keep them in here and then you add the files later, then these will automatically get replaced with the correct versions of those pieces, and then everything should connect up and be uploadable. So let's go ahead and pretend like we're going to do an upload of the Drake, which is the red dragon. So I do not suggest uploading him not at 0, 0. He's currently offset from the center. So we're going to first hide the stuff that's currently at the center, and then we're going to take him and put him in center. So I'm going to move him 0, 0, X and Z. All right, that centers him in the middle. So now at this point, make sure he's selected and then open up VRChat SDK at the top and then show control panel. And it'll ask you to log in. I'm going to do this on another monitor real quick. Okay, so once you've logged in, you'll be met with the builder screen. This is where you can check the details of the avatar and then also go ahead and build it. So I would suggest something I do just because I've seen some issues with VRChat in general. I always click on this, select this avatar in the SDK control panel button. Just to make absolutely sure, and then I often will click on Content Manager and back to Builder. That's more of a historical thing where I've been frustrated by some things not updating very well. But that's you may not have to do that. So go ahead and put in a name for the character, select an image, maybe take a capture of the scene. You can actually click on capture in the scene and it'll just kind of take a picture of whatever you're currently looking at. And you can choose to fill the background or use post-processing and the camera or whatever. Just get a picture of some kind in there. It requires you to have a photo of some kind. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this section and then open up the review and alerts. So in here, everything should be defaulted correctly. There might be some auto fixes. This is because of how VRChat, or not VRChat, but Unity does the import process. Some of these settings get reset to default when you open a new project. So just click on any auto fixes that you can find, and then look for any errors that you might find. If for some reason you find errors like missing like invalid scripts, or these will be removed, and it says something about something strange, that means you probably didn't install the prerequisites correctly. So make sure you go back a couple steps and go do those before you get here again. Okay, but real quick before we go off and actually upload, let's go ahead and add our license key into the avatar itself. So inside of your avatar descriptor, you'll see an item called license key. It's just below housekeeping. Open this up, and inside there is a object called put key in collision tag. Go ahead and click on that, and then inside of the contact sender, you'll see a custom collision tag that has a bunch of X's. So go ahead and go to Jinxxy, grab your license key, copy that and paste it into here, and that'll replace it with a different number. That's all you have to do in order to get the license verified for here. Now, if you'd like to also get your license verified on the Discord, you should go into there and go ahead and click on, there's a bot that you can start with. I'll show that real quick. So in Discord, there is a slime scanner channel. So inside the slime scanner, there is a Jinxxy product registration. Go ahead and click on register. And it'll pop up a window like this. Go ahead and paste your license key into here and hit submit. It'll automatically give you the roles and access you need in order to get to the help channels specifically for the dragon, the forepaw. So there's a verified dragon channel right here. But at this point, this is basically ready to go. You just click on build and publish, and then click on the I agree button after that pops up, and your avatar is now in game. You now can walk around, and you got this creature in game for you to use for yourself. Now, in terms of optimizations, or in terms of like alternate versions or other pieces and things like that, let me show you where some of that stuff is stored. So I'm going to close out of this. So first off, let's talk about like the other pieces for and other versions of this guy. So I'll move the Drake back to where he started. It's over there. You're good. All right. So first off is the base. So there is the forepaw base, and if you upload this one as is, this one has literally everything I can give you in terms of features and options within the base pack. So the biggest things that are added to this is you have like the finger fizz bones and the third-person camera and the passengers and, you know, these full body options and flight system, and it just everything is on here. Absolutely everything I can possibly give you is in this, and it's very poor. It comes with a lot of features and stuff, and so if you would like to have a better performing version, you have a couple different options. First off, first thing you could do is you could just delete some things from here. Anything that's in this main folder, other than geometry-based systems and a few of the like housekeeping things and things like that, other than those couple things, you can delete pretty much anything in here, and the avatar will still upload and work in game. So like if you don't like the human visual, I don't know, let's go with that. So this guy is a kind of a debug object. He is a green human. He lets you see what you look like in game, so you know where you're standing. He only appears for you and that kind of stuff. So if you don't want him and you don't like the performance cost of having him, because he does cost a skin mesh render, as well as I think some constraints, you can just delete him. So just delete him. Do that for anything that you want inside of here. And if you want to bring it back, you would click on the first top level object, which is forepaw base. In this case, it's going to be whatever has your avatar descriptor. Click on this overrides button here and scroll down way to the bottom. And at the very bottom, you'll see that there's the human visual right here. So click on him and then click on revert. And now he's back. And you can get rid of him again if you want to. So he's gone, now he's back. All right, so that's how you add or remove any of these features. Same goes with these missing prefab ones. So if you select all of these and delete them, okay, you can then bring them back with the same menu because they're at the bottom. I think that pretty much covers all the stuff that's underneath the base version. Now, I've also preemptively given you some versions of the model because there's a lot of different variations. Specifically, I wanted to give everyone the good options already set up and ready to go. So let's take a look at that one. So inside the good options, I've basically just preemptively deleted a bunch of stuff. You might see some things here for the wings and stuff. Don't worry about those. But the base avatar is pretty simplified. There's not a whole lot of features in here, and that's because I got to remove a lot of stuff to get to good performance. This version does have IK, okay, which I'll go over in a second how to remove that if you'd like to, or how to not have that if you like it. But other than that, he's a good boy. He does everything that a good avatar does, and you can retexture him and everything like that. Okay, so let's talk about the IK. So I know a lot of people get hung up over the performance cost with IK, and also IK doesn't work on Quest. So I needed to have a version of this model that had no IK. Because I've manually animated everything necessary for the avatar, I can actually make a Quest version of this that has no IK at all whatsoever. The big thing that you lose is full body tracking. There's really no way for me to connect full body with this, but on Quest, doesn't really matter. So that's totally fine. What I've done in this version is inside of the base systems, I've removed and deleted the IK portion of that. So inside here, there's like an IK that's supposed to be there. I've already removed that for you. I've also like reconnected some constraints to reduce the amount of constraints and things like that. Just a few minor things in the background to make absolutely sure that this version works on Quest. The big thing though is the body. Quest has a pretty hard polygon count limit, and this body here is like 19,600 something polygons. And so this version has everything merged into one mesh. I believe one material as well. Yep, one material as well. So it's pretty much as optimized as we can get in terms of this avatar's performance goes on Quest. If you'd like to take that one step further, you can absolutely take this character into Blender, make a bunch of edits, put your own stuff together, and upload it. I'll go over later how to actually do that, because that's a more advanced thing. But for right now, if you would like to get your avatar in Quest, you should modify this Quest body, this Quest version, and use this one. It's already ready to go. So that covers that. Let's go over the parts. So inside of any of these parts folders, I have all of the pieces that are used to assemble those prefabs. So all of them have a controls prefab, which if I hide everything else, you'll see that the controls is like, there's like almost nothing here. There's a few minor pieces that I couldn't remove or couldn't separate out. But generally though, there's like nothing in the controls. So the controls is literally just the controls. You then add the body, and you can choose which body you want, whether it's the main body or the Quest body. And the reason I let you do that is because if you'd like to have a more performant avatar on PC in terms of polygon count, or you want to try and squeeze in a whole bunch of other accessories, you can use the Quest body on PC, and that'll give you a lot more polygons to work with. So you can just choose which one you want. The way these work is you would just drag it into the controls prefab, and then it'll put it at the very bottom, and you're done. Like VRC Fury takes it from there. You don't have to do anything else. So the same goes for all the horns and whiskers and everything else. There's a bunch of extra options. You can drag each of those in that you want. So that's pretty much all that you need to do to be able to get a version of this avatar uploaded. So the next thing I'm going to go over is how to set up the air options. Okay, so I do need to have a segment of this video specifically for the air pack, and this is because the air pack has additional controls assigned to it that are not included in the base pack. This is specifically the wings. The wings have a bunch of extra controls, and they're all isolated to the air pack specifically. So that also means that if you're looking and intending to have your own custom mesh and attach it to this thing, you will not have the air wing controls until you install the air pack. But if you would like to do that, you can add all that on and put your own custom mesh in there too if you'd like. Okay, so let's take a look at what is required to get the air pack working as intended. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and pretend like I've already deleted some of the things, and I've kind of already made a version that I like, and I want to add wings to it. So I'm going to take the base version here, okay, and we actually already removed the things that are tied to it. So inside of here, you'll see there's a bunch of things at the bottom that are removed. I talked about that earlier in my video. We're going to now add the wing, the air pack into the project. So I'm going to drag this in. Okay, and you'll get this pop-up window that says there's a bunch of stuff to add. Go ahead and just either click import or click all, then import. I always press all, not because I have to, but because I feel like I should. And then click on the import button. It'll go through another loading screen. Okay, so it did actually add those wings automatically. So you'll see them there. Now they might be on a different version of the model. Let's see if let's see which way it imported these. Yeah, they're on some other piece or part. Looks like it's in the parts section, so I'm gonna hide those. So by default, it will actually not have those on there because you've deleted them already. So we need to add them back on to your customized version. So go ahead and click on your main avatar descriptor. Click on the overrides here, and then scroll to the very bottom. And you'll see some deleted pieces. Go ahead and click on revert for those. Okay, it looks like it actually added the bird wings automatically. So we should be able to just turn them on now. So I'm gonna highlight them all and turn them on. There they are. So it looks like, yeah, it looks like it automatically just adds it there for you. You can use them. That's good. Okay, so I'll delete the air webbings. That's from the Aqua pack. That's not part of the air pack. Okay, so at this point, you're actually ready to upload again. You now have 2 sets of wings. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is face tracking. So if you have a face tracker or a lip tracker or an eye tracker or a headset that can do all of that, you may want to consider having the face tracking added to this avatar. This avatar base uses the unified expressions, and there's actually multiple prefabs you can use for this. We use the Add Jerry's VRC Fury prefabs. So normally when you have their prefabs, you add them via the packages, and then you scroll down to Add Jerry, or VRC Fury, VRC face tracking Jerry's templates. And then inside of here, there is the prefabs, and then you can either use the UE, which is Unified Expressions Blend Shapes, or the Unified Expressions Tongue Steps. Kind of depends on what headset you have, depending on which one of these you pick. We've chosen to default it to the tongue step one, just because there's a couple more options in that one that does a little bit more. But you would normally just drag this in and drop it on your avatar. Now, I just want to show that I've already actually added this to the avatar by default. So within the base pack or in the wrapped version, I have a prefab that's just a wrapper, basically. I've put Add Jerry's prefab inside of mine. So it's just a holder, basically. And if you don't have the face tracking modules installed in your project, then they just won't upload. They'll just show up as missing prefab. So if you would like to use my version of it, it's actually here. It is under the Start Here prefabs, and then the folders that have different things. One of them is features, and inside of here there is the face tracking. And all it is just wraps it, so you have my prefab and then their prefab inside of it. That's all it is. Just an easier way to access the same thing. But this ties in well with what I wanted to talk about next, which is the files themselves. If you wanted to directly pull from the files to create an avatar, you can do that. I'm going to minimize all that. So you would go to the Start Here prefabs, grab the controls, bring it in. And it's going to look kind of weird because it's got a bunch of missing pieces. You need a body. So let's give you your body. And then you need, let's say, some horns. I don't know. There's no horns on this guy yet, so let's grab some antler horns. And then you just put those in here. You do this for literally every piece that you want to add. That also counts for the add-on packs. So you can go to like the air pack prefabs, and inside of here, let's say, I don't know, head feathers. So we're gonna add head feathers now. Now he's got feathers on his head. Or if you want to add the tail feathers, there's some of those. There's a lot of different pieces. I don't know the exact count, to be honest with you, off the top of my head, but between the 4 packs, there's quite a few pieces to add on a single avatar. You can add as many as you want or remove as many as you want. They'll all be toggleable in game individually. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, I want this one but not that one sometimes, or what, just whatever you want to do. If you'd like to modify any of these prefabs, feel free to it. That'll probably be something that we'll have to talk about like in call or something, or in the Discord. Because there's a few things you can do that'll be easy enough to change, but a few things that'll get weird. Specifically, I guess the big thing I should talk about is like material swaps. If you want to do material swaps, just add that, layer that on top of everything else. It'll work just fine. You can use your own controls. You can use a VRC Fury prefab. Do whatever you want. Change the materials if you'd like. I know some people like to animate changes, and there's all kinds of things you can do. I should mention actually too that this character is technically still just a regular human. So if I show the human debug guy, let me pull him out again. So, and by default he's invisible. I'm gonna show him real quick. Okay, so literally it's just a regular human underneath the hood. VRChat and Unity really don't know any better. They just know that you're a human with a lot of things going on in the background, and they don't know why. And so you can actually put a lot of custom stuff on this guy if you want to. The only things that I'm really affecting in terms of the human is I have a script that is, or I have a set of controls that is tied to the action layer and the sitting layer. And this is just to make sure that he goes up and down properly. Like, I just want to be able to raise him and lower him slightly. If you're in full body, these options don't even do anything. So like you can absolutely remove those and then put on whatever you want. If you want to put dance prefabs on this guy, if you want to put, I don't know, Go Loco probably would work. You can do that because he's not even like he's not a human at all, okay? But VRChat and everything thinks that he's a human. So feel free to do that. The one caveat I'll give you is that I have the action layer constantly activated, and the reason I do this is because it makes the human completely float and not actually animate in any way, shape, or form. If he were to be animated, so if you were to move forward and he were to run, your hips would jitter and your head would jitter around as you run because the human behind the scenes is moving. My prefabs or my setup basically eliminates that. So he just floats. He just kind of T-pose floats across the table. And so it's smoother. That's the big thing. So if you do remove those, expect to see a little bit more jitter, and expect not to be able to raise your height and lower your height whenever you change poses. But that's a pretty minor thing, especially if you have play space mover. If you want to modify the parameters and default variables, so by default we have this parameters table right here. If you click on that, it'll take you to it. This is a pretty long list of basically the user controlled parameters. So these are things that you can access in the menus. These are things that you can slider. These are things that you can adjust. And most of them are synced. Some are not intentionally. It's kind of hit or miss. It depends on the features and what they're being used for. But the default variable section of this, so like this whole middle row right here, or middle column, you can change these. I would suggest that if you're going to mess with these, though, you first make a duplicate of it. So I would duplicate it. Name this to be like my custom avatar. And then you can assign that to your guy. So take this in here and drop it in. And now you have kind of a fresh copy you're working from. I would also suggest doing that with materials. So now you can modify these defaults. So if for some reason, I don't know, let's say that you prefer having the tail wag faster by default, you can just turn this variable up to 1 and now it'll wag faster. By default. Now you can still change that in the menus and all that kind of stuff. If you like your spine longer, you can adjust it here. If you want your avatar scale to be different by default, there's all kinds of stuff in here you can mess with. These are the ones that I'm exposing to you guys to mess with. There are other parameters. There's a lot more parameters in the avatar. The other ones I would suggest not changing unless you have a very specific reason to do so. If you have like a really specific application that you want to talk about and try to figure out and solve for, just contact us on the Discord, and then we can figure out what you want to, how to approach whatever you're trying to change. But these are the just more straightforward ones to adjust. So I think that pretty much covers everything I want to talk about. All of the menu options are dynamically added and removed, so you don't have to worry about trying to change any of the menus. If for some reason you're getting overwhelmed by all the menus, I can show you how to remove some of the options. But once you remove those, they are gone. You'd have to add them back in manually, and it's kind of a pain. So I didn't want to do that by default. I wanted to have everything available to you, and then if you decided you wanted to pull it back, you could. Beyond that, I'm not sure what else to throw at you. I guess I could talk about the parameter compression. So, because this will affect anything that you add to the avatar as well. Inside of housekeeping, I'm using a lot of different VRC Fury optimizations, but the most important one that can be a problem sometimes is the parameter compressor. So I am compressing all inst floats, radials, puppets, and booleans. I have had no issues using this, and I personally made a system that did something really similar on my previous avatars. I liked it; it was great. I wanted it to be able to be dynamically applied to everything I put on the avatar, and that wasn't possible, at least not with my scripting abilities and my setup. But VRC Fury can do that. So anything that you add to the avatar, it will try to compress it using this parameter compressor, and I don't know how viable that's going to be with other creators, add-ons and prefabs and things like that. I don't know what other people are doing. So if for some reason this is causing a conflict, we'll have to talk about it, because you can't just remove this. If you remove this feature from the 4-paw base, you end up with more than 500 synced parameters, and you literally just can't upload. So we need to have this in here. We could dial it back a little bit maybe and try to maybe remove like the puppets and booleans, and see if maybe that helps with the other prefabs if there's any problems. I don't expect there to be any problems, but I don't have a lot of control over VRC Fury and other creators stuff. So if you run into one of those things, you're welcome to ask us. We can talk about how to make my system less compressed. But the better question would be to ask the other creator, hey, how can we get your stuff to work with parameter compressor? Not everybody's too responsive, so I understand that you may not be able to get an answer with that, but feel free to ask on our Discord for how to uncompress this avatar if you'd like. Otherwise, I wouldn't really suggest changing anything in here. A lot of this stuff is pretty mandatory to get the avatar working in a optimized way. Yeah, I mean, Directory Optimizer should just work on anything. MMD compatibility, that should just be a base avatar thing. So there really shouldn't be anything here. Make sure you have fixed write defaults on. I do use write defaults on for everything, and you have to have this on for MMD. Should you decide that you need to turn this off, there's gonna be a lot of problems you're gonna fight. So if another creator has something that's, say, write defaults off only object, and you try to add it to this avatar, it might not really work very well. But you might also be able to get by doing some simple modifications on it. I think that's about all I've got for now. All right, and that's everything. Hopefully that wasn't too complicated. If you had any problems, or if you need any additional questions, or you have something specific you want to talk about, make sure to message us on our Discord. In general, though, we're really excited to see what you've done with the base, and make sure you post some pictures of your own custom designs. All right, in the meantime, we'll catch you later, and we'll see you in VRChat.